Have you ever wondered why certain people enter a room, say nothing, and yet everyone feels their presence? Have you ever looked into someone's eyes and felt like they could read your soul without a single word? That's not magic. That's Scorpio. This sign doesn't need to explain itself. Their silence speaks louder than most people's words. Their energy can change the entire mood around them. But here's the real question. Why? Why are Scorpios so different from every other sign? Why are they so loyal, yet so suspicious? Why do they love so deeply, yet trust so rarely? Today, we're going deeper than simple astrology. We're diving into the psychology behind Scorpio. Their emotions. Their behaviors. Their hidden fears. Their greatest strengths. By the end of this video, you won't just understand Scorpios. You'll understand the deepest parts of human nature itself. So, if you've ever loved a Scorpio, feared a Scorpio, or maybe are a Scorpio yourself, stay with me. Because what you're about to discover may change the way you see loyalty, power, and love. And if you're ready to unlock the truth, click subscribe, hit the like button, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Now, let's begin. Have you ever felt like your emotions are too much? Like loving too deeply, caring too strongly, makes you vulnerable? If yes, maybe you're more like a Scorpio than you think. Because Scorpios live their lives in that intensity. But here's the secret: what looks like weakness is actually their greatest power. Scorpios' emotional depth is not just a trait. It's a survival mechanism. While others skim the surface of feelings, Scorpios dive deep. They experience love like a storm, pain like an ocean, and loyalty like an unbreakable chain. And the most fascinating part? Most people never see it. To the outside world, they seem cold, calm, controlled. But inside, they're feeling everything, 10 times stronger than anyone else. That's why when a Scorpio loves you, you'll know. Not through grand declarations, but through their silent presence. Through the way they watch you when you speak. Through the small, protective things they do, without needing recognition. Think about it. Have you ever had a friend or a partner who never said much, but somehow you felt completely safe around them? That's Scorpio energy. Their emotional power is silent. But it's undeniable. And that's exactly why people can't forget them. Because in a world full of noise, Scorpios connect in silence. But it's not just their emotions that make them magnetic. It's the way they carry energy itself. You see, every Scorpio has a presence that's hard to explain. You feel it. Not in words. Not even in actions. But in the air around them. Imagine being at a party. You're laughing, you're talking, and suddenly, you notice the atmosphere shift. Without looking, you know someone intense just entered the room. That's a Scorpio. Their energy speaks before they do. This is not accidental. Scorpios project emotional frequencies. Their mood changes the mood of everyone near them. When they're upset, you feel uncomfortable. Even if they're silent. When they're excited, their passion makes you feel alive. This isn't manipulation. It's raw authenticity. Scorpios are incapable of faking their state. What they feel, you feel. That's their power. That's why people gravitate toward them. Because deep down, we all crave truth. And Scorpios are truth in human form. Let me tell you a story. I once knew a Scorpio woman who never tried to stand out. At work meetings, she sat quietly in the corner. People often ignored her. Until problems happened. When conflicts broke out, everyone instinctively looked to her. Not because she spoke loudly, but because her presence was stronger than anyone's voice. She never told people what to do. Yet somehow, everyone followed her lead. Why? Because she embodied emotional certainty. In moments of chaos, that's what humans seek. Someone who feels like a solid rock. And that's what Scorpios are. But this presence isn't just about strength. It's about clarity. Scorpios don't confuse people. You always know where you stand with them. They won't flatter you to your face and talk behind your back. If they love you, you'll know. If they're disappointed in you, you'll know. And in today's world, where fake smiles and empty compliments are everywhere, Scorpio's authenticity is rare. That's why people choose them. Over and over again. As lovers. As friends. Even as rivals. Because deep down, we respect those who show us their real selves. Now, let's talk about something deeper, loyalty. For Scorpio, loyalty isn't optional. It's sacred. Once they choose you, once they let you into their inner circle, they're committed. Not in words, but in actions. They will protect you. Defend you. Stand beside you when everyone else disappears. But be warned, their loyalty is not blind. Scorpios are watchers. They notice everything. The words you say. The pauses between your words. The small inconsistencies that others ignore, they catch them all. You can't lie to a Scorpio. Not because they read minds, but because they pay attention. To everything. If you try to deceive them, they'll know before you do. And once you break their trust, there's no going back. Let me ask you, have you ever felt betrayed by someone you trusted? Most of us have. And we know how much that hurts. That's why Scorpios don't hand out trust easily. Their loyalty is their most valuable gift. And once given, it's for life. But only if you deserve it. This brings me to something that surprises many people. Scorpios are not fearless. Not really. They're human. They feel fear like everyone else. Fear of betrayal. Fear of loss. Fear of opening up to the wrong person. But here's where they differ. They refuse to show it. To Scorpios, vulnerability is not something to display. It's something to protect. That's why, even when they're scared, they move forward. Not because they're braver than others, but because they've learned, life doesn't reward those who freeze in fear. This control is admirable, but also lonely. Many Scorpios carry their battles alone, because they've been hurt before, and they refuse to let anyone see them break again. If you have a Scorpio in your life, remember this. Just because they're silent, doesn't mean they're not hurting. Their strength is real. But so is their hidden pain. So what can we learn from all this? The answer is simple. Depth isn't weakness. Emotional control isn't coldness. Loyalty isn't something to demand, it's something to earn. And trust, true trust, only comes from consistent authenticity. If you're someone who feels deeply, who loves intensely, who's tired of pretending, maybe you're living your life like a Scorpio without realizing it. And that's not something to hide. It's something to embrace. Because in a world that often rewards superficiality, being real is the rarest power of all. And Scorpios? They're proof of that. Have you ever wondered why trust is so hard to build, yet so easy to lose? Why some people open up after a single conversation, while others make you feel like you're forever standing outside locked doors? Scorpios belong to that second group. Not because they don't care, but because caring, for them, comes with a price. The truth is, Scorpios don't trust easily. And it's not random. It's deliberate. Every person who steps into their life is quietly put through a test. Not an obvious one. There are no questions, no checklists. Just observation. Scorpios watch how you act when you think they're not looking. They notice how you speak about others. Whether your words match your actions. And whether you stay true to your promises, even when no one's watching. Most people fail these tests without ever knowing they were being tested. And when they do, the Scorpio simply steps back. Quietly. No confrontation. No second chances. Does that sound harsh? Maybe. But think about this, how many times have you given someone endless chances, only to get hurt? Scorpios refuse to let that cycle repeat. Their inner circle is small for a reason. Because loyalty, to them, isn't about quantity. It's about quality. And when someone does pass their silent tests, when someone proves their loyalty not in words, but in actions, they earn something rare. A bond that feels unbreakable. A connection where no words are needed, yet everything is understood. Scorpios don't waste their energy on temporary people. They choose those who stay. And once chosen, they protect those people with a fierceness that's hard to describe. It's the kind of loyalty that feels like coming home. But this isn't just about protecting themselves. There's something deeper. Scorpios feel emotions others can't even put into words. Not because they want to, but because they were born that way. They are one of the most emotionally intense signs of the zodiac. Yet, they rarely show it. Not because they're cold, but because they know their emotions are too powerful to share casually. They don't wear their hearts on their sleeves. Instead, they lock their feelings away, protecting them like priceless treasures. But here's the paradox. Just because they hide their emotions, doesn't mean they aren't feeling. In fact, they feel everything more. Their sadness runs deeper. Their joy feels brighter. Their anger burns longer. And their love? It's all-consuming. That's why being loved by a Scorpio feels so different. They don't love like a gentle breeze. They love like a wildfire. Completely. Intensely. And endlessly. When they choose to care, they care with their entire soul. But not everyone sees it. Because Scorpios love in silence. In actions. In the small ways they stand beside you when you're falling apart. In the protective energy they radiate when they sense you're hurting, even if you say nothing. Have you ever had someone who just gets you? Who knows when to speak, and when to simply sit beside you in silence? That's Scorpio love. Quiet. Constant. And soul deep. And there's something even more intriguing. Scorpios don't just feel. They sense. Call it intuition. Call it energy reading. Whatever name you give it, the result is the same. They know things before you say them. They feel shifts in mood before anyone else notices. Walk into a room with a Scorpio, and they've already read you before you speak. It's not magic. It's observation, mixed with empathy, sharpened by experience. Because Scorpios have learned, people lie with words. But energy never lies. This intuitive ability isn't just about understanding others. It's about survival. Scorpios use their intuition to navigate life. To avoid danger. To sense betrayal before it happens. To choose allies who are true. It's a tool. A shield. And sometimes, a sword. But don't mistake their silence for weakness. Scorpios are not passive. Among the water signs, they're the most intense. And the most dangerous. Not because they seek harm. But because they know the power of patience. While others react impulsively. Scorpios wait. They observe. They calculate. And when the time is right, they act. Swiftly. Precisely. And in a way you'll never forget. This isn't about revenge for the sake of revenge. It's about balance. About ensuring that betrayal doesn't go unpunished. That disloyalty has consequences. In a way, Scorpios become the embodiment of justice. Not the kind you see in courtrooms, but the silent kind. The personal kind. Have you ever been hurt so deeply that you wanted to react, but chose to wait instead? That's Scorpio energy. Strategic. Controlled. And when they finally act, their decisions cut deeper than any sword. People often describe Scorpios as intimidating. But the truth is, they're simply honest about the darker sides of human nature. While other signs might pretend to forgive easily, Scorpios accept that pain leaves scars. And those scars shape their actions. Yet, here's the beauty in all of this. Their control. Their emotional discipline, their quiet observation, it all comes from a place of protection. Not cruelty. Scorpios are not heartless. They're just tired of giving their heart to people who don't value it. In the end, Scorpio's story is one of survival. Of learning to love deeply while protecting themselves fiercely. Of trusting their intuition over empty words. And of understanding that real loyalty is earned, not demanded. And as we move forward, the insights get even deeper. Because the next part of our journey will explore how Scorpio's loyalty transforms into an unbreakable life code, how their past betrayals shape their strongest boundaries, and why, when they finally let someone in, their love becomes the most intense experience anyone could ever feel. Stay with me. Because what comes next reveals the most powerful, and perhaps the most controversial, truths of the entire video. Have you ever loved someone so deeply that their happiness mattered more than your own? Have you ever pushed someone to grow, not because you needed them to change, but because you believed in their hidden potential? That's what it feels like to be loved by a Scorpio. Their love isn't soft. It's not simple. It's a force that challenges you. A mirror that reflects not who you are, but who you could become. When a Scorpio lets you into their life, they won't let you settle. They see your strengths even when you doubt yourself. And they'll push you to rise. Sometimes gently, sometimes harshly, but always with one purpose. They want you to become your best self. Not for them, but for you. I've seen this happen. A friend of mine once dated a Scorpio man. She said it felt like standing next to a fire every day. He challenged her ideas. He questioned her excuses. At times, it was overwhelming. But looking back, she said he changed her life. He didn't let her shrink. He made her grow. That's the paradox of Scorpio love. It's not always comfortable, but it's always transformational. If you let them, they'll tear down your walls. Not to hurt you, but to free you. Because Scorpios don't accept half versions of the people they care about. They see your potential, and they'll drag it out of you, whether you're ready or not. But here's something you might not expect. Even though Scorpios are known for loyalty, their love carries a shadow. Suspicion. Doubt. Not because they want to doubt you, but because they can't help it. Scorpios love deeply. And with that depth comes fear. Fear of betrayal. Fear of losing the one thing they've allowed themselves to need. Their mind constantly searches for inconsistencies. Small changes in tone. Tiny shifts in energy. Words that don't quite match actions. It's not paranoia. It's protection. Imagine this. You're with someone you love. And every day, a small voice inside your mind whispers, what if they're not real? What if you're wrong? That's the reality Scorpios live with. Loving someone completely, while fearing that love could be shattered at any moment. And yet, despite this constant fear, they stay. They love. They give their whole heart. But they demand one thing in return. Honesty. Total, uncompromising, painful honesty. They'd rather hear a hard truth than a comforting lie. Because for them, lies are not just words. They're cracks in the foundation of trust. And once a Scorpio senses dishonesty, even once, their faith in the relationship begins to fade. Not because they stop loving you, but because their heart no longer feels safe. If you love a Scorpio, remember this. Don't try to be perfect. Don't try to impress them. Just be honest. Even when it's messy. Even when it's difficult. Because to a Scorpio, truth is love. And lies, even small ones, are betrayal. Now, let's step into a darker part of the Scorpio soul. Revenge. Many people think Scorpios are vengeful for the sake of pride. But the truth is more complex. Scorpios don't seek revenge because they enjoy hurting others. They seek justice. Emotional justice. When someone betrays them, it's not just an event. It's a wound that cuts to their core. And while others might forgive quickly or let things go, Scorpios don't. They wait. Quietly. Patiently. And when the time is right, they strike. But this isn't about cruelty. It's about closure. Revenge, for a Scorpio, isn't about making the other person suffer. It's about restoring balance within themselves. It's their way of saying, "You hurt me. And I won't pretend you didn't." I knew a Scorpio woman once who said something I'll never forget. She told me, "I don't punish people out of hate. I punish them to remind myself I mattered." And perhaps that's the deepest truth of all. Scorpios don't seek to destroy their enemies. They seek to reclaim their worth. So what does this mean for us? What can we learn? It's simple. Honor your pain. Set boundaries. Protect your heart. But also, choose your battles wisely. Because sometimes, revenge doesn't heal the wound. It deepens it. And Scorpios, more than anyone, must learn when to fight and when to let go. Now, as we peel back the layers, there's one image that stays in people's minds. The Scorpio woman. Mysterious. Intense. Untouchable. She doesn't try to attract attention. Yet she's magnetic. People are drawn to her without knowing why. It's her silence. Her confidence. The way she carries herself like she knows a secret no one else does. And maybe she does. She knows her worth. She doesn't chase. She doesn't beg. She doesn't explain. If someone wants to know her, they must earn that right. She reveals herself slowly. Carefully. And only to those who've proven they can handle the depth of her soul. This is the Scorpio woman's power. Not just beauty. Not just passion. But boundaries. She doesn't give herself away cheaply. And in a world where so many people seek validation from others, that makes her irresistible. But here's the lesson. You don't need to be a Scorpio to embody this energy. You just need to remember, your value isn't determined by who chooses you. It's defined by who you choose to let in. Like the Scorpio woman, you have the right to guard your soul. To set standards. To walk away from anything and anyone who disrespects your worth. And that is strength. As we reach this point, you might feel like you're starting to understand the mystery of Scorpio. Their love. Their suspicion. Their quiet revenge. And their untouchable presence. But we're not done yet. Because the final part of this journey reveals the most powerful and perhaps the most controversial truths of all. Truths about power. About seduction. About why Scorpios hold a mirror to the darkest and the most beautiful parts of human nature. What comes next might just change the way you understand connection forever. Stay with me. The most revealing secrets are still ahead. Have you ever met someone who could change your mind without even trying? Someone whose words stay with you long after they've walked away? That's the Scorpio power of influence. But here's what most people misunderstand. Scorpios don't persuade through force. They don't argue to win. They simply speak from a place of absolute conviction. And that is what makes people listen. When a Scorpio shares their thoughts, it feels different. Their words are deliberate. Their tone steady. They're not trying to convince you. They're simply expressing what they believe, as if there's no other possibility. And people feel that certainty. That authenticity. In a world full of noise, their voice cuts through the confusion. It's not just their knowledge. It's their emotional depth backing every word. They speak with heart. With belief. With the quiet power of someone who's lived what they say. I remember a Scorpio colleague who never raised her voice. Never dominated conversations. But when she spoke, the entire room fell silent. Why? Because she believed her words before anyone else did. That's what Scorpios teach us. True persuasion isn't about control. It's about inner certainty. About knowing your truth so deeply, others feel it without needing to be told. And maybe that's why Scorpios often stand out at gatherings, even when they're quiet. They're not the loudest person at the party. They don't crave the spotlight. In fact, they avoid it. Large groups drain their energy. Shallow conversations bore them. They'd rather observe than perform. But when they do engage, when they let their guard down, their presence is unforgettable. Because it's real. Have you ever seen someone standing quietly at the edge of a room, and yet, somehow, they become the person everyone watches? That's the Scorpio paradox. They don't ask for attention. But their authenticity demands it. Their silence holds more weight than someone else's words. And when they finally speak, people listen. In today's world, where so many wear masks to fit in, Scorpios remind us that authenticity is magnetic. You don't need to please everyone. You don't need to entertain. You just need to be real. And that's what Scorpios offer. Realness. Depth. Presence. Now, let's move deeper. Into something more intimate. Scorpio affection. People say Scorpios are the most passionate lovers. But that passion isn't just physical. It's emotional. It's psychological. It's soul deep. A Scorpio's kiss isn't just a kiss. It's a message. A connection. A silent way of saying, I'm here. And you're mine. Scorpios don't do anything halfway. When they love with intensity. When they touch, it carries weight. Their physical affection is an extension of their emotions. And that's why it feels different. Have you ever been kissed by someone who made you forget the world? Who made time slow down? That's the Scorpio way. It's not about technique. It's about presence. About being fully there, in that moment, with that person, and no one else. And that's why their kisses, their touches, linger in your mind long after they're gone. Because they weren't just physical. They were emotional. They were real. But this depth of connection isn't easy to earn. Especially with Scorpio women. They see through deception instantly. You can't charm them with rehearsed lines. You can't impress them with surface-level compliments. They sense energy. They read between your words. If you're pretending, they'll know. And they'll walk away before you can explain. To earn a Scorpio woman's attention, you have to be real. Completely. Authentically. Vulnerably. She doesn't want perfection. She wants truth. She values depth over charm. Honesty over flattery. Confidence over arrogance. And strength of character over any material success. That's why so many people feel both drawn to and intimidated by Scorpio women. Because they demand your real self. And in a world where so many people are used to hiding behind masks, that demand feels terrifying. But also liberating. So if you ever find yourself wanting the attention of a Scorpio woman, don't fake it. Don't perform. Just show up as you are. Raw. Honest. Real. Because that is what will hold her gaze. And what's the deeper lesson here? Maybe it's this. In life, depth always outlasts performance. Real connection always outlasts surface attraction. Whether in love, in friendship, or in life itself, what's authentic is what stays. Scorpios teach us to stop pretending, to stop performing, and to simply be. But our journey isn't over yet. Because what comes next reveals the final and perhaps most controversial truths of the Scorpio soul. Lessons about control, about power, about why, even in silence, Scorpios are often the ones holding the strings. In the final part of this video, we'll uncover the ultimate secrets of Scorpio energy. Secrets that may just change the way you see power, forever. There's something about Scorpio energy that few people truly understand. It's not just about loyalty. Not just about power. It's about the deep, hidden way they read the world. Scorpios don't just listen to words. They listen to silence. They don't just watch actions. They notice pauses, shifts, tiny changes that most people overlook. This isn't magic. It's emotional intelligence in its purest form. Think about it. Have you ever felt like someone knew what you were feeling, even when you said nothing? Like they could sense the emotions you were too afraid to admit? That's what it's like to be around a Scorpio. They read your energy before you even understand it yourself. And when they know you, they really know you. Not just the version you show the world, but the version you keep hidden. Behind your smiles. Behind your silence. But that ability comes at a cost. Scorpios can't turn it off. They carry the weight of knowing too much, of feeling too deeply. And that's why they guard themselves. Why they hide behind silence. Not to push people away, but to protect themselves from drowning in everyone else's emotions. And maybe that's why they're so relentless when it comes to success. Scorpio energy isn't about chasing fame or proving anything to anyone else. It's about survival. About refusing to settle. Because inside every Scorpio is a quiet voice that says, I need to become everything I know I'm meant to be. They don't compete with others. They compete with their own potential. Every setback is fuel. Every obstacle is a challenge to outgrow. Every betrayal, just another reason to rise higher. Failure, to a Scorpio, isn't an end. It's a lesson. A step. A moment to pause, rethink, and strike harder next time. I once asked a Scorpio why he worked so hard. His answer was simple. Because I refuse to be average. That's the Scorpio way. Not arrogance. Not ego. Just a deep, relentless drive to fulfill their purpose. They analyze. They strategize. They adapt. And most importantly, they don't stop. When others give up, Scorpios go silent. And then, they rise. Their success isn't accidental. It's inevitable. Because once a Scorpio commits to a goal, they don't just chase it. They become it. And yet, here's the most beautiful truth. Being close to a Scorpio means you don't just witness this journey. You become part of it. They'll push you, challenge you, sometimes frustrate you. But they'll also believe in you, long before you believe in yourself. And if you're lucky enough to have a Scorpio in your life, understand this. Their intensity isn't there to hurt you. It's there to wake you up. Because Scorpios don't want to see you stay small. They want to see you rise. Maybe that's why loving a Scorpio isn't always easy. But it's always worth it. So what have we learned from Scorpio? We've learned that silence can be strength. That trust must be earned, not demanded. That loving deeply means risking deeply. That reading energy is more powerful than listening to words. And that success comes to those who refuse to stop. But more than anything, Scorpio teaches us that power isn't about controlling others. It's about mastering yourself. It's about knowing who you are, even when no one else understands. So, if you've seen yourself in this video, if you've loved someone like this, or if you've always felt a storm inside your own soul, then you understand Scorpio more than you think. And maybe Scorpio understands you too. If this message resonated with you, if you felt seen in these words, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Because there's so much more we're going to explore together. More stories, more truths, more moments that help you understand not just others, but yourself. And if you know someone who needs to hear this, someone who's loved too deeply, or someone who hides their strength behind silence, share this video with them. Let them know